The Israeli army just had one of its toughest days in Gaza. It started off primarily in Rafah. Al-Qassam brigades published multiple statements today saying that they targeted an Israeli soldier who was sniped. They targeted the Netzarim line, or the central line command base that holds many Israeli troops. That's in the central part of Gaza, with 107 missiles, and they had a couple of other mortar shells on Israeli soldier gatherings and Israeli troops. But the most significant attack was on an Israeli convoy. This Israeli convoy included D9 bulldozers and troop carriers that belongs to Brigade 601 in the Israeli army. The biggest attack is that the Palestinian resistance targeted a troop carrier. This troop carrier holds up to 13 troops. Israel admitted that 8 of its soldiers were killed, including the deputy commander in that troop carrier. Later on, we had statements from the IDF spokesperson, and we heard a couple of other people from Israel speaking, analysts, people on mainstream media and on Israeli newspapers, some of the main Israeli newspapers. But I'm going to start off with the IDF spokesperson. Obviously, he came up and he said that this is a disaster. What happened? They called it the third disaster in reference to the fact that this specific troop carrier was targeted in this manner twice before, and this is the third time where it's completely destroyed, and it took them 2 hours to evacuate the casualties, those who were killed inside the troop carrier. He called it the third disaster. He also made a reference to the Israelis who were rescued during the Al-Nusayrat massacre, in which Israel killed over 270 Palestinians, killed 3 Israelis who were held as prisoners by the Palestinian resistance, and released 4 Israelis. He said, let's be honest, most of the prisoners will not be released in this manner. This is signaling that they are open or moving more towards having a deal with Hamas, with the Palestinian resistance, to release the rest of the Israeli prisoners. We're seeing more and more talk in Israel about the fact that this campaign has ended. They've reached the maximum in terms of what they can obtain in Gaza, that Hamas is no longer functioning as a military power, but only as different formations in guerrilla warfare. And many analysts are claiming that the campaign in Rafah was already a campaign that was pumped up too much and was being overrated for political purposes. In one of these main articles in Ma'arif, an analyst wrote that we should not be afraid to declare the ending of the war, because this is the only way we would be able to get our prisoners back, and we have defeated Hamas in accordance to them by taking down their military capability, including obviously many other lies. But this is only to justify this in the minds of the Israeli population and to prepare, in accordance to some of these analysts, to a greater war with Hezbollah and Iran. To Israel, Hezbollah is the biggest imminent threat when it comes to Lebanon, especially with many reports saying that Hezbollah has the capacity to bring in hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of foreigners, people who are not Lebanese, to fight on the Lebanese front against Israel, and the fact that they hold an arsenal, according to many reports, of over 1 million rockets and UAVs aimed at Israel.